It's a beautiful day on the San Francisco Bay, and it's the aftermath of a little bit of a storm last night, and so it's a little drizzly, and the sun comes out, and a little drizzly again, and perfect weather. I love it. So this video is about clocks and barometers, and just what I've dealt with, and I have two clocks, two ship's clocks, and two barometers on this boat. The first set is a set that I had on my old boat, which I brought over to this boat, and very inexpensive. I originally had a ship's clock that was the previous owner had on my old boat. He was from England, so I assumed he put that clock on my boat, my other boat, and he left it. And it had the Westminster type of dial where it has Roman numerals, which is really cool. And it was the wind-up kind. And over time, winding it, because of the stress of winding the key, the clock, the way it's put together internally, it was starting to get loose. And so I had to take it apart. And I fixed it because it was really strange. It was just three little pins that just stuck into, they were brass, and they stuck into this brass plate. And that's the only thing that held the interior mechanism into the clock. And the key just, over time just wore it out. So I'd have to periodically take the clock all apart, pound those little pins to kind of puff them up a little bit, and then pound them back into the plate. That was the only way it was held together, which was bizarre. And I did like the clock. It was really cool. But eventually it wouldn't stay together anymore. So on my old boat, I had to get a new clock. So I thought, well, I'm just going to get something inexpensive but kind of cool. So I bought a clock and a barometer. And so here they are. And they're made by Weems and Path. And they're just little clock and barometer. They're pretty cool. What's cool about them is they glow in the dark. The face does. But you have to have light on them before they'll glow. So if you have a light like above the clock and the barometer in your boat, at night when you turn the lights off, then they'll glow, but not for very long, just an hour or two. So you can, see them an hour or two after you turn the lights off. But I think if you went to bed at 8 o'clock at night and woke up at 2 in the morning, I don't think you can see them. So, but they are kind of cool, and they were pretty inexpensive. The crazy thing about it is the barometer never really worked good. The needle barely moves. I mean, it moves a little bit one way if it's going to rain, and it moves a little bit the other way if it's going to be, a sunny day. But yeah, it's. I think I need to take it apart and see what I can do about that. And the bizarre part is I have a clock and barometer that came on this boat, which was actually really good quality. And the same thing with the barometer, and the needle barely moves. So I think I'm going to have to do some research on barometers and see if I can do something about that, because that's not right. So the thing about both of the clocks that I have on this boat now, this clock and the actual clock that came with this boat, is the batteries. They're quartz, and I just don't get why they have plenty of room back here. They would use a little teeny tiny battery like this. I mean, it's small. It's 1.5 volts, so it's like a regular AA or AAA. Those are both 1.5 volts, except they have more storage capacity, which means that your clock will run a lot longer. I think if I put a AA in here, unfortunately, it won't attach because it's designed for this little tiny battery. It would last probably 4 times as long as this battery. And if I recall, I haven't ran this clock since my other boat, and that's been a long time. So it seemed to me like this battery didn't last very long. And so I was going to go ahead and chop into this and see about putting a AAA or a AA. I think a AA will fit in here. I can make it fit. And that might be a future project. But I went down just to see, because normally these kind of batteries that are not normal batteries are very difficult to find. Like, you have to order them online. But I did go down to Walgreens, and sure enough, they had them. It was about $10 for 2 of these things. So really expensive. And they're not anything special other than they're small. So, you know, I don't get it. So I just I actually bought 4 of them. The clock only needs 1, so I have some extras. Another problem with these clocks, with that, both of the ones that I have, is that they screw into the bulkhead with 3 screws. So that means every time you change the battery, you have to get a screwdriver and unscrew it from the wall, take it down, and replace the battery, and then screw it back on, which is kind of a pain. So what I'm going to do, I'm putting this up in my boat today because I had this other little clock. It was just like an alarm clock sitting on this counter, and I was just kind of using that so when I'm sitting at my settee, I can look over and see what time it is. And I knocked it off the counter the other night and broke it, and it's been driving me nuts sitting here and not knowing what time it is. I mean, I can look at my computer or my phone, but I just like glancing up and seeing what time it is without having to deal with that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the bulkhead, and it's a teak bulkhead, so I do not want to put screw holes in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Velcro this up, so that'll make it easy. I can just yank it off the wall when I need to change the battery. So that should make it a lot easier. And the same thing with the barometer. I think I'll just use Velcro and put it up there. Pretty much for look, since it really doesn't do anything right now. I'm going to have to, like I said earlier, I'm just going to have to figure out how to fix these barometers. I know you can work on barometers and they can be fixed. So I'll just have to do some research on it and see what I can do. And if not, eventually I might just replace both of my clocks and both of my barometers with something else. But I do like having a clock and barometer. And the barometer also has temperature and humidity on here too. So it shows that. And those work okay. I don't have a problem with that part. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing today. So it's going to be a little short video about marine clocks and what's out there. There's all different kinds, and there's cheap kinds and there's expensive kinds. But I'm going to get to my other clock and barometer inside the boat here that came with this boat. They're better quality, and I got a problem with, like I said, both of them. So I'll talk a little bit about that too here in a minute. So the interesting thing was when I went to Walgreens to buy these, I was really happy to see they had them because I really didn't think I was going to find them anywhere. And they had big multi-packs of AAA batteries and big multi-packs of AA batteries. And they weren't locked to the wall. I mean, you could just pull them off the shelf, off the rack. These, they had locked up. Go figure. I just, like, these are so special, someone's going to steal them or what? I don't know. But yeah, like I said, the only thing that's special about these things is they're just tiny. That's the only thing. So, and you can see there's plenty of room in this clock. So I could fit a AA in there. I'd have to cut some of this out and make a holder for it, solder it in, probably just wire it in and solder it in. And then I wouldn't have to change the battery as much. It'd probably last, I would say, looking at the size, probably 3 times as long as the small battery. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw a battery in here, a new one, and see if this thing works, because it hasn't worked, and I haven't had it working in I don't know how many years, a lot. So let's see what happens. goes in this way. Wait a minute. Why is this not fitting? Uh-oh, I got the wrong battery. I don't believe it. Okay, I didn't look at the number. This battery that I just bought is smaller than this battery in diameter. It's the same length. It's just smaller in diameter. It's 1.5 volts, I believe. Let me look at it. I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, so I just bought 2 packs of these, and I spent $20. And like a dummy, I didn't really look close at it. I assumed it was the same as this because they looked the same. I didn't take this to the store to compare it. I knew this was 1.5 volts. And so interesting, I don't mess with these small batteries much, but so didn't realize that they actually make, this little battery is 12 volts. So yeah, good thing it didn't fit in here because I would have destroyed this clock right now. So, so much for that idea. So this is crazy. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably just going to go ahead and modify this like I was planning on, because 1.5 volts is 1.5 volts. It'll work. There's not going to be a problem. Put 12 volts in here, it's going to destroy this clock. Wow. Oh, that's interesting. I never knew that they made batteries this small with this much voltage, and it's just a little alkaline battery. So I assumed it was 1.5 volts, just like the AA's are, and just like the AAA's are. They're all 1.5 volts. So much for that idea. I guess I'm going to be going without a clock tonight. I don't think I got time. It's kind of getting dark, and I was going to do this earlier today, and I need some kind of battery holder or some kind of way to connect this in here. And I was looking around for stuff on my boat to get, but I couldn't really find anything that was suitable. And I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can do it, but I just wanted something that would be real easy to remove the battery and replace it. So I'll have to come up with something like that for this. And I don't know what I'm going to do with these batteries. I'm not one of these kind of people. I was going to run back to the store and take it back. So I already opened this one, so I can't. And so if I need 12 volts in a small thing, and I do mess around with electronic stuff sometimes, and well, I'll just keep them around and see if I can use them for something. You know, my boat is 12 volts, but I got a big lithium battery, 10,000 watt hours of storage, so I don't know what I'd use these for. But yeah, so much for that idea. But the main thing about this video was just how crazy it is that they would put such a small battery in something like this when there was plenty of room to put a big battery. It just doesn't make sense. So that's that. And my barometer, looks like it's going towards fair weather. It moved to, I don't know, about a 1/16 of an inch. I think that's about all it moves, about a 1/8 of an inch one way or the other. So now I'm going to show you my ship's clock and barometer, which is better quality than these Weems and Path clock and barometer that I have here. And I'm going to bitch about them too. Okay, so this is my ship's clock and barometer on my boat Zither. And the problem I have is with the clock is it's the same thing as that other clock. It uses a C-size battery. So a C-size battery, they're extremely hard to find. You can find D-size batteries, so they're the big round batteries that are in like Maglite flashlights, you know, the D size you can find them anywhere. AA batteries you can find anywhere. AAA batteries you can find anywhere, but C size batteries, they are like impossible to find. You have to like special order them. You just can't walk into a store and find them. It's extremely rare. So it's the same thing. This clock uses a C size battery, and it's a pretty big battery, but I put one in when I first bought the boat, and it sure didn't seem to last very long, which surprises me because this is just a quartz clock. It should last forever. And I don't know why it didn't last very long, but it sure seemed like it didn't. And so I haven't changed it since because it's the same thing. I got to unscrew it with a screwdriver, take it down to replace it. It's really not that big a deal, but it's kind of in not a really good place. The clock and barometer here is not where I really wanted to put it. I want to put it down on the bulkhead where I can see it from where I sit inside the boat. Everywhere in the boat where I can sit, I will be able to see it. And actually, when I'm outside in the cockpit steering the boat, I'll actually be able to see it from out there too. And the same thing with this barometer too. Just like my other barometer, it barely moves. The needle barely moves. And you can see the dial, and it should move all the way to the left and all the way to the right, but it moves about 1/8 of an inch to the left and 1/8 of an inch to the right. So I'm going to have to do some research on this one too, and see what I can do about, see if I can fix it and see what the hell's going on with it. So, yeah, it's just been kind of crazy that I have 2 clocks, 2 barometers, and they both pretty much are the same. I'm not real happy with either one. So someday I might get something different, but I think this clock and barometer is a Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken. I can't see the name from here. I think that's what it is. And they're supposed to be really good. And Weems and Path clocks are supposed to be really good, but I got the real cheap one here with the ones that glow in the dark. So, at any rate, so if this rant was helpful or entertaining, please like and subscribe.